Let me tell you something that can change your life forever. Life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by choice. Most people are waiting for life to get easier when God designed life to make you stronger. You don't need another year to get ready. You need one moment of clarity, one decision that says, I will never live beneath my potential again. So today, I'm going to give you 20 life lessons you only need to learn once. Because once they're inside you, they'll shift how you think, act, and win forever. Let me tell you something about decisions, because your entire life moves at the speed of them. Every breakthrough, every failure, every blessing, and every burden can be traced back to a single choice. You are not where you are because of your circumstances. You are where you are because of your decisions about those circumstances. Most people wait on opportunities when opportunities are already waiting on them to decide. The door doesn't open because you knock. It opens because you decide you're not leaving until it does. See, life is not slow. It's your decision making that's slow. You pray for clarity, but sometimes clarity doesn't come before you move. It comes because you moved. The universe doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards commitment. People say, I'm waiting for a sign. But the truth is, your decision is the sign. When you decide, everything that's meant for you starts moving toward you. When you hesitate, everything you're meant for starts moving away. Most people are stuck not because they don't know what to do, but because they keep questioning whether they're ready. Let me tell you this, readiness is not something you wait for, it's something you create. Every master started before they were ready. Every success story began with a risk. And if you only move when it's safe, you'll spend your entire life standing still. You cannot build momentum without motion. Faith is motion. Courage is motion. Progress is motion. And motion begins with a decision. You've got to understand that life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you decide you're willing to have. You can wish for a better life, or you can decide to create one. The gap between wishing and winning is decision. When you decide, you activate a different level of focus, and when your focus changes, your future follows. But indecision will drain you faster than failure ever could. Failure gives you data, but indecision gives you doubt, and doubt will paralyze your purpose. Every powerful transformation begins with one clear yes and 1,000 silent no's. You decide what deserves your attention and what no longer does. You decide who gets your time, your energy, your thoughts. You decide what you tolerate, and whatever you tolerate, you train your life to repeat. So if you don't like what's showing up, change what you've been deciding to allow. The most dangerous phrase in your vocabulary is, I'll think about it. Thinking about it has never changed a life. Deciding to do it has. The longer you think, the stronger your fears become. The quicker you decide, the faster your faith grows. You don't need more information, you need more intention. The mind will always try to protect you from change because it's programmed for survival, not success. But when you lead your mind instead of letting your mind lead you, you shift from surviving to thriving. A decision doesn't just move your feet, it moves your frequency. It tells the world you're serious. It tells the people around you that your standards have changed. And that energy, people feel it, opportunities feel it, even challenges feel it. They recognize when someone has decided to no longer live small. Because the moment you decide to rise, resistance will test you. But that's how you know you made the right choice. The difference between dreamers and doers is not talent, it's decision. Dreamers talk about what they want. Doers decide to make it real. Every dream has an expiration date if it's not followed by a decision. You can't manifest what you won't commit to. You can't expect blessings from a decision you haven't made. You say you want abundance, but have you decided to stop thinking in lack? You say you want success, but have you decided to let go of excuses? You say you want peace, but have you decided to stop inviting chaos into your conversations in your mind? The weight of indecision is heavier than the weight of failure. When you fail, you can stand up and learn. But when you refuse to decide, you stand still and lose time. Time is life's most expensive currency, and indecision spends it faster than anything else. You can always recover money, but you can never recover moments. Every moment you delay, the cost increases. There's power in a made-up mind. Once you decide, your energy aligns, your emotions stabilize, your vision sharpens. People around you start recognizing something different in your tone, your confidence, your walk. That's because decisions define direction, and direction determines destiny. Most people pray for destiny but live without direction. They want God to move mountains, but they won't move their mindset. The moment you decide to change your mind, you've already started changing your world. Stop waiting for everything to make sense before you decide to move. Life rewards the bold, not the hesitant. There's a reason the first step is called a leap of faith. It's not supposed to feel safe. It's supposed to feel sacred. Because when you step, heaven responds. The door doesn't open for the qualified. It opens for the decided. Desire is the spark that lights the fire, but discipline is the wood that keeps it burning. Anybody can want something that's easy. Wanting doesn't cost you anything, but discipline, that's the proof you truly mean what you say. Discipline is what separates the dreamers from the achievers, the talkers from the transformers. When you rely on desire, you move when it feels good. When you rely on discipline, you move because you said you would. Desire is emotional, Discipline is spiritual. One fades when life gets hard. The other stands tall when everything around you is falling apart. People often say, I'll start when I feel motivated. That's why they never start. Motivation is temporary. It's a mood, not a method. It's the burst of excitement you get after hearing something inspiring, but discipline is what makes you do the work after the excitement wears off. The person who learns to act without needing to feel like it will always outperform the one who waits to feel ready. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what you said you'd do. When you understand that principle, your life begins to shift. The truth is, desire builds dreams in your head, but discipline builds them in the world. You can visualize, plan, and hope all you want, but nothing changes until you show up. Consistency creates credibility, and credibility creates results. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build internal strength. Every time you break it, you weaken your confidence. Self-discipline is self-respect in action. You can't respect yourself if you constantly lie to yourself about what you'll do tomorrow. Discipline means doing what's required even when it's not convenient. It means showing up when no one's watching, practicing when no one's clapping, and committing when no one's cheering. It's easy to be committed when it's comfortable, but real discipline is forged in discomfort. That's where character grows. Discipline is not punishment. It's permission to live life on your terms because you've trained yourself to rise above your emotions. Most people never win because they keep negotiating with their goals. They say they want success, but then they start bargaining with their comfort zone. They'll say things like, I'll do it later, or just one more break, not realizing every delay is a decision to stay the same. Discipline eliminates the need for debate. You don't argue with your purpose, you execute it. When you're disciplined, your goals stop being optional and start becoming inevitable. Think about a seed. It doesn't grow because it wants to, it grows because it's consistent. It absorbs light, water, and time day after day. It doesn't skip a day because the weather isn't perfect. It doesn't stop because it feels dry. It keeps showing up for the process until breakthrough happens. That's discipline. You're the same way. Every time you choose to keep going despite the feeling, you're strengthening your roots for the fruit that's coming later. The problem with most people is they want the reward without the routine. They want harvest season but won't endure planting season. But the person who learns to fall in love with the routine never has to chase results. Results start chasing them. Discipline transforms effort into excellence. It takes your potential and turns it into proof. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits are nothing but disciplined decisions repeated daily. When you operate from discipline, you develop power over time. You stop reacting and start responding. You become predictable in your productivity. You move with rhythm, not randomness. That's what successful people have mastered, predictable excellence. They've built habits that protect their vision. They've trained their emotions to submit to their mission. They understand that feelings make good servants, but terrible masters. Discipline doesn't silence your emotions. It just refuses to let them sit in the driver's seat. Every time you delay gratification, you strengthen your future self. Every time you choose growth over comfort, your capacity expands. Discipline is not about restriction. It's about expansion. You're not losing freedom. You're gaining control. Because when you lack discipline, something else always controls you: distractions, desires, habits, or people. But when you build discipline, you reclaim your authority over your own life. You can't build a legacy on feelings. You build it on follow through. The people who make history are not the most inspired. They are the most consistent. They learned how to keep their promises to themselves when nobody believed in them. Discipline doesn't just produce success. It produces stability. When you're disciplined, storms may shake your world, but they can't move your foundation because discipline roots you in purpose, not pleasure. Your body can be trained. Your mind can be trained. Your emotions can be trained. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you were designed to be. The more you honor that bridge, the faster you cross it. Life rewards those who can outlast the urge to quit. You will never outperform your level of discipline. You can dream as big as you want, but your habits will determine how far you go. Every great destiny is built on daily decisions. The ones who win didn't feel like it more often. They just kept doing it longer. Money does not respond to hard work. It responds to how you think about value. The world has been trained to believe that the harder you work, the richer you become, but that's not truth. That's tradition. Hard work builds character, but smart work builds wealth. You can swing a hammer for 40 years and still struggle, while another person builds a system once and earns forever. The difference is not effort, it's understanding. When you understand that money is simply a certificate of performance, you stop chasing it and start creating the kind of value that attracts it. Money moves toward people who solve problems. It doesn't care about your background, your degree, or your dreams, it follows value. Every dollar that enters your life is a reward for value delivered. So if you want more money, don't ask for a raise, raise your results. If you want to earn more, learn more. Increase your capacity to create, serve, and lead. When you start seeing yourself as a vessel of value instead of a victim of circumstance, the financial world starts recognizing your worth. The mind that believes money is hard to get will always make it hard to keep. That's why mindset matters more than mechanics. A poor mindset can destroy a wealthy opportunity faster than any market crash. The person who believes there's never enough will sabotage even when abundance is present. But the one who believes in overflow will find ways to multiply even in lack. Wealth doesn't begin in your wallet, it begins in your wisdom. The richest soil on earth is not the ground beneath you. It's the ground between your ears. Money magnifies what already exists inside you. If you're disciplined, it increases your impact. If you're careless, it increases your chaos. That's why changing your bank balance starts with changing your belief system. You attract what you're aligned with. If your thinking is limited, your income will be too. But once your thinking expands, your reality adjusts to match it. Prosperity is not a miracle. It's a mindset. There are people working day and night, grinding harder than ever, yet they're stuck in the same financial loop. That's because they've been programmed to trade time for money. But time is limited and money is infinite. When you trade the infinite for the limited, you stay trapped in survival mode. Wealthy people don't work for money. They build systems, structures, and strategies that make money work for them. They multiply their time through people, processes, and platforms. The poor mindset says, I need to work harder. The prosperous mindset says, I need to think higher. A money responds to confidence, not confusion. The market doesn't pay the most qualified person. It pays the most certain person. Confidence communicates value. When you believe in the solution you offer, others believe in it too. But when you doubt yourself, people doubt you without even knowing why. Confidence is currency. The energy you bring to the table tells the world what to pay you. That's why mastering your mindset is more important than mastering your marketing. Most people have an emotional relationship with money, not a logical one. They chase it when they're scared, spend it when they're happy, and waste it when they're sad. That's not stewardship. That's slavery. You have to command money, not be controlled by it. Money should be your servant, not your master. When you give it a purpose, it multiplies. When you give it emotion, it disappears. Assign every dollar a job before it gets lazy in your account. Money loves structure. It flows where it's respected. Scarcity teaches you to hoard. Abundance teaches you to circulate. The more value you create, the more flow you experience. You can't receive with closed hands. Generosity opens the gates of increase. When you add value to people, money becomes a byproduct of your contribution. Stop asking how to make more money and start asking how to serve more people at a higher level. Service expands your reach. Reach expands your reward. Money doesn't change your identity. It reveals it. It shows you who you've always been, magnified. If you're generous when you have little, you'll be even more generous when you have much. If you're careless when you have some, you'll be reckless when you have plenty. Don't wait until you're wealthy to develop wealth habits. Start managing the little as if it were much, because the person who can be trusted with a little will always be positioned to handle more. There's a difference between income and wealth. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep, grow, and pass on. Wealthy people think in generations, not paychecks. They understand that legacy is greater than luxury. They don't just build assets, they build access. They don't just accumulate, they educate, because money without wisdom is temporary, but money built on principles lasts. You can spend your life trying to make money, or you can spend your life becoming the kind of person money looks for. Money is attracted to clarity, direction, and vision. When you know who you are, what you offer, and why it matters, the marketplace starts looking for you. You don't chase opportunities, opportunities chase you. Money responds to mindset, not effort, because mindset determines the quality of your effort. Once your mind is trained to see value, wealth becomes a natural outcome of who you are. The foundation of real wealth is not found in selling, it's found in serving. People think that business is about making money, but the truth is business is about making a difference. The person who focuses only on what they can get will always struggle, but the one who focuses on what they can give will always rise. You don't build a business by chasing transactions, you build it by creating transformation. The market doesn't reward the person who screams the loudest, it rewards the one who solves the deepest pain. When you approach people trying to sell them something, they feel it, but when you approach people trying to serve them, they feel that too. One creates resistance, the other builds relationship. Service creates trust, and trust creates transfer of attention, energy, and eventually money. That's why real wealth follows service. You're not paid for your time, you're paid for the problems you solve during that time. The greater the problem, the greater the payment. The deeper the service, the higher the success. You can't just sell a product, you have to sell belief. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They buy your conviction, your confidence, your consistency. Selling is never about convincing, It's about communicating value so clearly that people convince themselves. When you serve people through clarity, honesty, and care, they don't just buy once, they keep coming back and they bring others with them. A sale might make you money, but service builds a movement. The secret is to become obsessed with outcomes, not offers. Don't ask, how can I sell more? Ask, how can I help more? Don't focus on price, focus on purpose. When your purpose is big enough, your price won't scare people. It will attract the ones who value what you bring. Service doesn't cheapen what you offer, it increases its worth. Because when you truly serve, you elevate others, and in that elevation, you rise too. Most people are trying to escape the grind of sales when they should be learning the grace of service. Service doesn't drain you, it fills you. It connects your work to meaning. When you see your customer not as a number, but as a person carrying a problem that you are equipped to solve, you stop feeling like a salesperson and start operating like a servant leader. That's when business becomes ministry, not manipulation. You become the solution instead of the salesman. Serving before selling means giving value up front. It means showing up to help before asking to be paid. You don't give everything away for free, but you give enough for people to experience your excellence. When you overdeliver in value, people overdeliver in loyalty. They remember how you made them feel before they remember what you sold. And feelings create futures because emotions drive decisions more than logic ever will. The reason so many people fail in sales is because they focus on closing deals instead of opening relationships. A closed deal can end in a day, but an open relationship can last a lifetime. Every interaction is a seed. Every seed sown in service grows into influence. Influence opens doors that income alone never can. If you want to make an impact, stop trying to impress and start trying to improve the lives of those who trust you. When you serve people with genuine integrity, your presence becomes your promotion. You won't have to chase clients because your results will speak for you. People will talk about how you helped them, how you cared, how you delivered. Reputation is built on repetition, repetition of service, consistency of excellence. You can't market integrity, you demonstrate it. And when you demonstrate it long enough, the world markets you. Serving before selling doesn't mean you never charge. It means you charge with confidence because you know the worth of what you offer. True service adds so much value that people feel blessed to pay you. They don't see it as a cost. They see it as a contribution toward their own growth. That's the shift from trying to get money from people to creating so much value that people can't wait to exchange it with you. When you move from manipulation to meaning, your energy changes. When you stop asking, how can I make this sale? And start asking, how can I make this person's life better? Everything shifts. You stop being desperate and start being deliberate. You stop chasing and start attracting. Because people don't run from salesmen, they run from selfishness. And they don't just buy from businesses, they buy from people who care. Every great brand, every great entrepreneur, every great legacy was built on the principle of service. You build trust through truth. You build loyalty through love. You build success through service. And the moment you understand that selling is nothing more than serving at scale, you stop fearing sales and start mastering impact. Because when you serve before you sell, the sale becomes automatic. You stop competing for attention and start commanding it through contribution. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Every challenge you've ever faced was not sent to destroy you, but to develop you. The problem is that most people misinterpret pain. They see it as a signal to quit when it's actually a signal to grow. Growth is uncomfortable because it stretches you beyond your familiar. You can't become who you were meant to be while clinging to who you used to be. Pain is the process that separates the temporary from the timeless. It refines your focus, tests your faith, and reveals your strength. When life hurts, it's not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes it's because you're being positioned for something greater. Pressure produces power. Diamonds don't form in comfort. They form under intense heat and crushing weight. The same is true for you. The pressure that's trying to break you is the same pressure that's building the version of you capable of carrying more. What you call breaking, heaven calls building. Pain is heaven's tool to strengthen your foundation for the weight of your next level. You can't pray for strength and then resist the very process that builds it. You can't ask for patience and then run from situations that test it. Growth doesn't happen in convenience. It happens in challenge. Pain teaches you things that peace never could. It teaches humility, endurance, empathy, and perspective. It strips away pride and replaces it with purpose. It forces you to stop depending on your comfort and start depending on your character. The reason many people stay stuck is because they keep cursing what was designed to bless them. They keep asking why it happened instead of asking what it's trying to teach them. Pain is a professor and experience is its classroom. Every scar tells a story of survival and strength. The goal isn't to avoid pain, but to extract wisdom from it. When you learn how to find meaning in the midst of pain, you turn wounds into weapons. What once hurt you becomes what helps you heal others. There's a version of you that can't be built in comfort. That version only shows up in conflict. You discover your true power when you have every reason to give up, but decide to get up instead. Pain introduces you to your capacity. It reveals how far you can go, how deep you can endure, how resilient you really are. You think you're breaking, but you're being built. Every tear is watering the seed of strength inside you. Every loss is clearing space for something better. Every disappointment is redirecting you toward destiny. Sometimes pain isolates you to elevate you. It pulls you away from distractions, relationships, and environments that no longer serve your growth. What you call rejection is often redirection. What feels like loss is often liberation. Pain detaches you from what's temporary so you can focus on what's eternal. You can't carry old weight into new seasons. Some things have to hurt you just enough to move you. And when you finally move, you realize that pain didn't push you away from purpose. It pushed you right into it. When you change how you view pain, you change how you experience it. You stop running from it and start learning from it. You stop asking for the pain to end and start asking for the strength to endure it. Pain is the proof that something powerful is being produced. Every time you survive something you thought would destroy you, you grow stronger, wiser, and more dangerous to the limits that once held you back. Pain purifies your purpose. It burns away the parts of you that don't belong in your next chapter. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who never experience pain. They're the ones who refuse to let pain make them bitter. They let it make them better. Pain gives you compassion. It teaches you how to feel deeply, think clearly, and lead humbly. It builds emotional muscles that success alone could never produce. That's why some of the most impactful people in the world carry scars. They've learned how to turn their pain into purpose. You can't avoid storms forever. You can only learn how to stand in the rain until the sun returns. Pain doesn't last forever, but the lessons it teaches you do. The storm may rage, but it's temporary. What it builds in you is eternal. Every challenge you overcome becomes a chapter of wisdom you can teach someone else. The strength you gain becomes the strategy you share. Your survival becomes someone else's inspiration. The process will never feel pleasant, but it will always be purposeful. Pain sharpens your faith. It makes you stop relying on what you see and start trusting what you believe. It teaches you that peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of trust. Pain refines your identity until you start seeing yourself as unbreakable. Because once you've been through fire and survived, you realize that fire no longer scares you. It shapes you. Every time pain shows up, it's carrying a lesson, a promotion, or a preparation for the person you're becoming. Faith is the foundation of every breakthrough because belief always precedes becoming. Nothing changes in your life until something changes in your belief. You cannot experience on the outside what you have not accepted on the inside. Faith is not just a feeling you get when things go right. It's the conviction that things are right even when they look wrong. It's the quiet confidence that the vision you carry is more real than the circumstance you see. Faith is not blind. It sees beyond sight. It sees possibility where others see problems, and it moves even when logic says to wait. Faith is the language of creation. Everything that exists began with someone believing it could. The phone you use, the chair you sit on, the building you live in, none of it started as reality. It started as belief. The people who change the world are not the ones who wait to see. They're the ones who decide to see it before it appears. Faith calls things that are not as though they were. It builds bridges over gaps that logic can't explain. When you walk by faith, you step out before you see the ground appear, because you trust that the ground will appear under your feet. The reason faith is so powerful is because it shapes your focus, and whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on fear, fear multiplies. If you focus on faith, faith multiplies. Your belief directs your behavior, and your behavior determines your breakthrough. Most people think they need more resources, but what they really need is more belief. A lack of faith limits what you're willing to attempt. And if you're not willing to attempt big things, you'll never attract big outcomes. Faith is not waiting for evidence. It's creating evidence through action. Faith is movement. You can claim to have faith and stay still. Faith without action is just hope wearing a disguise. It's not enough to say you believe. You have to behave like you believe. When you align your actions with your affirmations, you send a message to the universe, to God, to life itself that you're serious about what you say. Faith is not passive, it's prophetic. Every step you take in faith speaks your future into existence. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You move in imperfect obedience and let the miracle meet you in motion. Faith will always be tested. Every dream will demand a decision between fear and faith. Fear tells you to retreat. Faith tells you to rise. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Faith focuses on what could go right. The stronger your faith grows, the louder your fears will try to shout. But faith doesn't silence fear. It just refuses to let fear lead. You can feel fear and still move in faith. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's obedience in the face of it. Every time you act despite doubt, your faith grows stronger roots. Faith gives you the ability to see purpose in the process. When things fall apart, faith reminds you that it's only so something better can come together. When doors close, faith reminds you that not every door is meant to be entered. When people leave, faith reminds you that every separation is for elevation. Faith doesn't need to understand, it needs to trust. It doesn't wait for proof, it produces proof. And when you keep believing long enough, your belief becomes visible in the world around you. You can't separate faith from vision. Vision is what you see with your eyes closed. Faith is what you walk by when your eyes are open. Faith gives you endurance to keep walking even when nothing seems to be happening. The difference between those who manifest their vision and those who don't isn't timing, it's tenacity. Faith refuses to give up even when progress feels invisible. Faith knows that delay is not denial. Every seed takes time to break ground, and faith is what keeps you watering it even when the soil looks dry. Faith also attracts favor. When you move in faith, resources show up, people align, opportunities emerge, because the universe responds to expectation. Faith is expectation in motion. It doesn't beg, it believes. It doesn't chase, it attracts. And when you act in alignment with that belief, everything you need begins to locate you. You stop trying to force doors open and start flowing through the ones that faith unlocks. The reason faith is foundational is because everything built without it eventually falls. Faith grounds you when circumstances shake you. It gives you peace in uncertainty, confidence in confusion, and direction in the dark. When faith becomes your foundation, failure no longer feels final. It just feels like feedback. You stop measuring progress by what you see and start measuring it by what you believe. Faith gives you the courage to keep building when others quit, to keep speaking when no one's listening, to keep sowing when there's no harvest in sight. Faith is the unseen force that turns vision into victory. It doesn't wait for permission, it acts on conviction. It lives in the realm between promise and manifestation. And every time you choose faith over fear, you move closer to becoming the person your purpose requires. Faith is the foundation of every breakthrough because it's the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming.